Yep, that's a Trump speech. What's happening? Why is he in a tuxedo? NRCC President's Dinner. Okay, President's Dinner. Gotcha.
Confidence. Everything is bad. But the one thing, they always vote in unison. You don't see somebody that's holding up. I'm going to hold up. And the alternative is hell. You know, the alternative is hell. So the Republicans, just that one little thing the Republican Party has to do is get together and damn vote. If you're a single guy or a second guy, and you fight like hell for what you get, and then in the end you have to vote because the policy is phenomenal. You know, they don't get every little ounce. It doesn't work that way. And this bill that we're working on now is the best I think we've ever passed.
Oh, really?
Mike, wherever you may be, it's the best. I think it's the best thing we'll get it passed. But I think it's going to be the most important thing we've ever passed. It's the best thing we've ever passed. And I do think that the war with the world, which is not a war at all, because they're all coming here. Japan is coming here as we speak. They're in a plane flying, lots of them, all tough negotiators.
All of
but
Japan?
Things that people wouldn't have given us 2 years ago, wouldn't have even thought of it 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 7. They're giving us everything. They don't want tariffs on themselves. And it's very simple. We're making deals, and people are paying tariffs. Countries are paying tariffs.
What's with his bow tie? Is he at the economy's funeral? Do you think people wear tuxedos to funerals? You haven't gone to a funeral in a tuxedo, have you? That'll be interpreted very negatively by the friends and family of the departed.
Right now, China's paying a 104% tariff. Think of it, 104%. Now, it sounds ridiculous, but they charged us for many items 100%, 125%. Many countries have. They've ripped us off.
We're going through with it, I guess. I mean, that's supposed to come into effect midnight. So that's supposed to come into effect in 3.5 hours, right? Yeah, 3.5 hours. That's midnight ET.
Left and right. But now it's our turn to do the ripping. That's okay. We're going to make our country even stronger, stronger than it ever was. And 2026 Republicans will fight for every state, every seat, and every single vote. We're going to fight like hell. I intend to personally campaign for candidates all across the country, and we just won't. You're right about that. We won't just keep our majorities. We want to expand our majorities by a lot. You know, there's this thing about midterm elections that you have a president and they never seem to win. I don't understand. They never seem to win the midterm elections, and I have no idea why. You know, we're not going to let that be a self-fulfilling prophecy. I have no idea why. We're setting records right now. We're getting more things approved than any president has ever done in the first 100 days. It's not even close. I had somebody say the most successful.
He might not be wrong on that. With the exception of FDR, he's certainly been active his first 100 days, huh?
First month in the history. Now they said the most successful 100 days in the history of our country, and I believe that's right. And we're going to continue that way, if not more so. And we're going to do tremendously in midterms. There's no reason we should do great in the midterms. There's this thing that
we should.
For some reason, the president, whoever the president is, the midterms are tough. Why would they be tough? If we're doing great, they should be easy. And I'm telling you, we got to win a lot more. But as Mike said before, I happened to listen to him. He was on C-SPAN 1. That's a big upgrade, right? I was listening as I was putting on the tie. How does it look? He was on C-SPAN 1, and they were talking about that. And I thought to myself, because people love him and they love your leaders, they love, really, the party is just doing well. A couple we could do without, to be honest with you. But the party is doing well, and there's no reason we shouldn't just get together and win these midterms and win them by a lot. Because
it is very interesting that he's talking about the midterms when he's less than 3 months into the administration. Like, the midterm, we're so not even there yet. You know? We're so far from there. He does operate best in a permanent state of campaigning, so I guess it makes sense that he would be kind of on that, you know? Early signs are not looking good for him and for the Republicans with regard to their performance in the midterms. But, you know, again, we've got a lot of time to go, and Americans are very stupid. So, yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see. I mean, I don't know if we're even going to, like, really get midterms, but...
There's 7 that I heard Mike talking about before. 7 is not really enough. But we lived for one for a period of time. You know, the only thing good about 7, when you have 1, and now all of a sudden you have 7, it sounds like it's like a landslide. It's so good. It's like the most amazing thing. 7 sounds so good when I hear that. It sounds like we can't be beaten.
Oh, and, he's got the gross, like, spit in his mouth thing that Biden had when he talked and Bernie did in that one video.
We should be 50, 60 up. Honestly, we should be 100 up because based on policy, these people have the worst policy that anybody's ever seen. There's something wrong with them. Honestly, there's something wrong with them, all this crap. 13 House Democrats currently represent districts that voted for Trump and voted for Trump big. And in 2026, we're going to tell them, all 13, that you're fired, get out, get out. No reason for that, 13, but 13 is a small number compared to some of these stats. We are going to work very hard. I'm going to do tele-rallies. You know tele-rallies? I'll do rallies for a lot of you, but I'll do tele-rallies at a minimum. And we just had 2 great elections, by the way, and I heard everybody is introducing our 2 new Congress. Where are they?
You had 3 elections recently, actually. I know about the 2 in Florida you're talking about, but there was another more important one in Wisconsin.
Please stand up. I want to look you in the eye. I want to look you in the eye, Randy. Look at the 2 of them. What a job you did, man. Huh? You were never in doubt. Where's our second person here? I know there he is. Boy, they gave him a lousy seat. He's behind. Great job. We're proud of you, man. Great job. Great job. Thank you. And, you know, both elections, they were saying, it's going to be close. It's going to be close. And I was listening. And they won by, you won by what, 17 points, 18 points? I don't think that's true.
As the speech goes on, by the way, keep in mind, we're about 30 minutes behind. The futures have continued to trickle down since the speech began. We're down 1.5% on Dow, 2% on S&P 500, and a little over 2% on NASDAQ. I mean, tomorrow's the day. Tomorrow's the opening day, isn't it?
Close. I don't think it's close. So we won by 15 and 18 points. And they're saying it was a terrible evening for Trump. Can you believe it? Terrible evening. They only won by 18 points and 15 points. Anyway, good job, both of you. Good job. But in addition to our fantastic House Speaker, we're pleased to be joined by Majority Leader Steve Scillis. And I watched you too, Steve. I watched you on C-SPAN 1. And Steve has suffered greatly. I mean, I was there the night that it looked like he wasn't going to make it. He's very brave. He suffered greatly. And I tell the story about the baseball game where, I mean, he was really, the doctor told me, sir, I've never had anybody lose so much blood. It's not looking good. And his wife loved him. She
this
was
might
such
be a long
disaster
departure.
that
I'm going to move ahead just a little bit.
That was a good manager. They took him out of the game because you can't improve on that.
It's a long one.
Brian Jack. Where are you, Brian? Where are you, Brian? First time in history, all 50 states shifted toward the Republican Party. First time in history. It's never happened. It's a shift. It shifted Republican. And today there are more registered Republicans than any time in the history of our country. How good? How about that? Meanwhile, approval ratings for the Democrat Party have plunged to the lowest level ever recorded. They're at 26%.
That's true.
So you tell me about the midterms, right? 26, the lowest level ever for either party. The Republican Party is a much bigger party now than it was ever before. And I must say that it's the biggest now since you heard the name Donald J. Trump running as a politician. You heard the name before, but not as a politician. I said to my wife, you know, I think I'm going to do this thing. Do I have your approval? Yes, darling, I think you'll win. See, she's a supportive First Lady. I don't know if she believed it or not, but she said it. She said, yes, darling, I think you'll win. How do you think I'll do? Oh, darling, you'll win very easily.
Okay.
Even plastic, alternative plastic. We got, at Mar-a-Lago, we got plastic eggs all over the place. They said, the likes of which nobody's ever seen anything like it. Other countries, I deal with other countries all the time. I am right now on tariffs where they want to make a deal with us. We don't necessarily want to make a deal with them. We're happy the way we are, taking our $2 billion.
As your lawyer, I am encouraging you to continue saying this shit. The only reason the market is holding on by a thread is because people still think that this is a negotiating tactic. Like, he still thinks, or they still think that he's, like, doing this to hold some kind of leverage. That's like the cope, as opposed to this just being, like, the way things are now.
$1 billion a day. But they want to make a deal with us, and they talk about it, and they say, we cannot believe that they had open borders. These are countries, they have, they have borders, and they don't let people into their country. They can't understand how. They did it because they're sick or they're crazy. There's something really wrong with these people. But the same people now telling me about how to deal with China are the ones who sold out America for decades to China. For decades, they gave up to China. I'm the only one that you know how much? China's paid almost $700 billion in tariffs under me. And then they say, Donald Trump hasn't been tough on China.
You know what I realize? Donald Trump is actually like the guy in your friend group who exclusively talks in memes. It's just he's created all the memes. Like the way he says China or Russia, 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 any of the million things that he does and says, it's like he leans into it deliberately because he knows it's a lay epic meme. It's just he made the memes. So it doesn't seem to say, it's not referential. He's just doing it.
You say Trump hasn't been tough on Russia. Okay, here's the story. Nord Stream 2. Did anybody ever hear of it? It's the biggest pipeline in the world. I closed it. Russia had it. I closed it. Putin told me that's the worst thing. You're supposed to be friendly with me. I'd hate to see you as my enemy. I closed Nord Stream 2. When Biden got in, he opened it up immediately. It serviced all of Europe, going to Germany. It serviced all of Europe. We closed it, and they say, oh, he wasn't tough on Russia. I was very tough with the sanctions and everything else. And by the way, just for your information, we're trying like hell to get the fighting stopped between Russia and Ukraine. A thing that never would have happened if the election wasn't rigged. We had a rigged election, and we can say it and say it loud and say it proud because the election was rigged, and we can't let that stuff happen anymore. Go to paper ballots. Go to same-day voting, go to voter ID, go to citizenship. You have to prove your citizenship, a little piece of paper, and you won't have it. Sort of disappointing because a lot of Republican governors, they could do that. Same-day voting, paper ballots, very sophisticated paper, actually. It's all watermarked. You can't cheat. Very hard to cheat. France went that way. They were like us, and they were, having very bad elections, very crooked elections. They had 37 million people. They voted. They had a winner. They had a loser. They went home. That was it. 10 o'clock in the evening, it was over. With us, you ever see, we have these machines that cost a fortune. And they say, we think we're going to have the final vote tally in 2.5 weeks. And wait a minute, this is election day. You ever see where in California they were counting votes 4 weeks later? And then they say, and by the way, all paper costs 8% of the machines. Why is it that Republican governors aren't going to it, okay? What's going on with our Republican governors? If nothing else, you say, even if it was just the same, and it's not.
I talk an awful lot about, like, trying to understand why the opposition is the way they are, but I genuinely can't sympathize with people who listen to this and go along with it. Like, anyone who, like, for nonstop for 4 years whining about the results of the election, like leaving aside the fact that he's lying, just the fact that he's whining, always whining. I don't know what kind of person you'd have to be energized by this,
It's, nothing's foolproof when it comes to voting, but it's pretty close. But it costs 8%. In other words, you can have your election 8% the cost of the machines, and you get an accurate count. So it's pretty amazing.
I'm just going to skip ahead a bit.
Millions of people to pour in through open borders from all over the world. They came. To me, that's treason. What they've done to our country is unthinkable. The money we have to spend to take people out. And then we have judges that say, no, let Trende Araqua come back into our country. They want him to come back in. Killers. They cut off a man's fingers because did you, sir, make a phone call to the police in Colorado? Yes, I did. I did. You've attacked us and you've taken over our building. They took over real estate all over Colorado. You did, right? Give me your hand. Put the hand down. Boom. Cuts off his fingers. And they want him back.
I don't know.
And how about the mix-up with the MS-13, where it wasn't a Trendeiragua, it was an MS-13 killer. And they said, oh, they got him mixed up. Let's get him back into our country. No, we need people that are going to love our country. I'm proud to be the president for the workers, not the outsourcers. The president who stands up for Main Street, not Wall Street, who protects the middle class, not the political class, and who defends America, not trade cheaters all over the globe. They're trade cheaters. They cheated on us. They cheated with tariffs on us. They stole our...
What I mean about the whining, like, I guess just like I would feel personally very pathetic. You know what? I feel like I'm repeating myself, so I'm gonna open it up to the clip farms and be edgy. I've known black people who race bait. There are black people who fuck up their own lives and then blame systemic racism for things that are not necessarily the fault of systemic racism. Admittedly, I have met far less of those people than I have white people who blame anti-white racism for everything that happens in their life that goes wrong. But, you know, regardless, I have known people like that. Not many, but some. None of them have complained, day to day, even a fraction of a fraction of a fraction as much as Trump and his acolytes do. Not even close. Not even remotely. I cannot imagine what kind of... Because when I've listened to people who do that kind of grievance politics before, any side of the political aisle, mostly my thought is just like, don't you feel pathetic? Like every single talking point of yours is about how you're a bitch, basically. Always a crybaby. And they do it more than anyone. Genuinely. I don't know. I know Hitler did it too. Every Hitler speech was like, Germany's been f***ed over a million times. Every speech of it was like that. Did he do it this much? I don't know. I don't know. We're reaching like real levels here. It's just remarkable how much you have to be bought in on your own weakness to follow this stuff. Like how much you have to be tolerant of or like emotionally capable of constant self-pity in order to buy into this, you know? Republicans control the entire federal government, and if you went online and took a look at their memes and how they like communicate their intentions, you would think they were in the minority. They still act like they're on the back foot. They always act like they're on the back foot. Always.
Our money, they stole our jobs. And now people are going around saying, oh, we're not treating them right now. We're treating them very good, actually. They're lucky we're treating them so good. And, you know, when I have tariffs and I say, well, we're going to charge what they did. We're going to charge what they did. And then I say, I'm going to charge much less than they did. Believe me, we're actually being nice about it. But we're doing very well, better than we've ever done before. My job is not to maximize the profits of outsourcers and I mean, these foreign corporations are horrible. It's horrible what they're doing, but we're catching them. We're catching them by the dozens. My job is I have to defend the American dream, and I have to defend the American citizens. That's my job. I have to defend that. The American dream is never mentioned. It was mentioned for 4 years, and now it's being mentioned again, but it was never mentioned when we had Sleepy Joe in office. I used to have the hardest thing I had to do with Joe Biden is the nickname. Do I call him Sleepy Joe or Crooked Joe? Could we take a vote, please? Who wants to call him Crooked Joe? Who wants to call him Sleepy Joe? That's my problem. It's like the same. They both work. That
wasn't the same at all. Also, he's been doing this bit.
Both work beautifully. Joe had one ability that I didn't have. He said he was a good golfer. He's terrible.
Meanwhile, while he does this bit, yeah. 104% tariffs get applied to China in like 3 hours.
Somebody said the only time I got angry during our debate when he said he was a 6 handicap. He's not a 6. He's not a 36, okay? But he had one ability that I don't have. He was able to go to a beach bathing suit in tow, so, because it looked like it was actually falling off. But he'd go, had a hard time walking through the sand because, you know, sand is heavy on your feet. Carrying one of those 6-ounce chairs that are made out of aluminum that if you weigh a little bit too much, it just cracks in the middle when you sit down. And he could sit down in a beach with photographers on the beach. You know, he's the president, so he had a minimum of photographers, but he still had photographers. And he could fall asleep. Who the hell could do that? Who could fall asleep? And he'd turn around and drool would be coming out. He didn't care. His wife didn't care. It's an ability that I could never fall asleep under those circumstances. I'd be very conscious of my body and what we look like. I'd be sitting up like this. Then I'd say, darling, it's time to go. Let's get out of here. Well, wouldn't most people? I mean, this guy could go to the beach, and he was out in seconds. Guys are shooting him. He'd be in the papers the next day, eyes closed, mouth open. The United States has been getting ripped off for 50 years, and we're simply not going to take it anymore, and that's what's happening right now. In 1950, the United States dominated global auto production, producing more than 75% of all of the cars on Earth. Think of that, 75%, and even higher before that. Today, we produce 11%, while China produces 3 times more than we do. Let me tell you something. With the tariffs that we're doing, as you know, we have tariffs on automobiles, aluminum, steel, separate from the other tariffs, the baseline, we call it. Companies are pouring back into our country with plants. There's a run on sites. There's a run on old plants. Most of them are being ripped down for new plants. They've stopped building in Mexico, 4 or 5 plants, and they're all coming into the United States. I know what the hell I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. And you know what I'm doing, too. That's why you vote for me. And the chip makers are coming in. They're all coming in. We've never had anything like this. We have investment, they think, of about think of this, $7 trillion. And that's been in a month and a half. Think of that. For the first, you got to give me a little time to get warmed up with that. So let's take the first couple of weeks off. For about a month and a half, we got almost $7 trillion spoken for. Trillion. We've never had that. I don't know if we've ever had it at any time, but if you go back and look at Biden and these other campaigns, any of them, they didn't have those numbers for the year. These are the biggest chip makers in the world, the biggest auto manufacturers in the world. $7 trillion of investment, and that means jobs. I look at it differently, not investment. I look at it as jobs. And they're coming in at levels that we've never seen.
Sorry, what the f*** is this thing that I'm seeing on my other tab? Is this like a mega church? Christians? Protestants, man. Looks like a mega church. I hope every single American starves. The only way to make sure we get all of them.
It is true that Mexico, they've stopped building plants, and those plants are now going to be built in the United States of America. So it's pretty exciting. All because of 2 things. They say, they want to be nice to me. They say, sir, because of November 5th, the election, and because of tariffs. I said, in that order? And the smart ones say, yes, sir. First was that you got elected, and second was tariffs. And I'll accept that, you know. But I will tell you, because of tariffs. But I'm the only one that would have done the tariffs, because everybody was afraid. They were afraid of being criticized because the globalists will go after you. For 7 decades, American ships have patrolled the seas. American troops have kept the pace and peace. And American wealth has enriched the globe. But despite all we have given to them, you will not find an American car in Berlin, in Tokyo, in Seoul, in Shanghai, not a car. I used to say to Angela Merkel, Angela, how many Chevrolets do we have in Berlin? Why, none, Donald, none. That's right, Angela, you got it. How many Chevrolets do you think we have in Munich, Angela? None, Donald. I said, you sent us 7 million cars last year.
We bought 7 million cars. They don't want our cars.
So we're going to start buying American-made cars or cars that are manufactured in America. And if you can do it, not part of what I was going to say, but one of the best things that I think I've come up with is interest deductions. If you buy a car that's made in America, you get an interest deduction on the money you borrow. And I love it. I hope you can do it, Mike. I hope you can do it, because I haven't bugged you about that. I've been talking about no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. And I haven't really been...
Remarkably, these proposals are not included in the one big, beautiful bill that would be the biggest deficit hike in American history, if you can believe that.
Been as strong on this one, but it's only because it gets a little bit long, you know. But if you think of it, you buy a car, you borrow money, and you get a deduction on that money if the car is made in America. I'm thinking that will not cost you 10 cents. You'll make money with that one. I think you'll make money actually in a certain way with the other three also. I think they're very important, and they were part of our campaign.
This whole thing is China pilling me more and more. Not just with China, but basically like everywhere else in the world. I guess it's just a nice reminder that the irrationalism and xenophobia and everything else that's kind of like endemic to fascism, especially in how it's being manifest now, is anti-life, right? I mean, it's like a sick parody, but you watch it and it's like, yeah, I guess this basically just is like the president version of the movement that I've seen happen. It's not like Trump made this movement, you know? He's just like a boat that's been lifted by the tide.
I was going to say before that in Nevada, that when I came up with the no tax on tips, I think that's why we won by a massive amount. And interestingly, they came up about a month and a half later. She was making one of her few speeches. She didn't speak too much for a reason, good reason. She was making a speech, and in the middle she said, oh, and by the way, we will have, you know, everyone's falling asleep, we will have no tax on tips. That place booed the hell out of it. They said, you're a little late on that one, because I was worried they'd copy me. You know, it was so good. You know how it actually happened? Maybe I should tell the story quickly. I was in my building in Las Vegas. We have a great restaurant there. And this young, beautiful waitress, and you're not allowed to say beautiful because that's the end of your political career. If you call a young woman beautiful, that's the end of your career. But what the hell? She was beautiful. So she came up to me. And she said, hello, sir. It's so nice to have you at the hotel. I said, thank you. I had a group of people, some political people, actually. It was very interesting. And I said, how's everything going? She said, oh, it's so tough. They're after my tips. Who's after? The government. They're after my tips, constantly after my tips. They're after all of us for the tips. She said, sir, we should have no tax on tips. I said, say it again. What? We should have no tax. She said it. This was my consultant, a waitress from my hotel. Most people go out, spend millions of dollars to come up with an idea. I said, she just said no tax on tips. That's the coolest thing I've ever heard. So I went outside. There were a lot of, we finished our wonderful meal, steak, went outside, and there were a lot of cameras, as there always are, unfortunately. I say, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a new policy all over the country, but specifically in Nevada. There will be no tax on tips, right? And the cameras went wild. Click, 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 click. And we won the state by a lot, so I don't know. So I owe.
Even when he's not campaigning, all he talks about is when he was campaigning. Oh, man. I really, 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 really hope that when this is all over, people don't blame what happened on his obvious egomania. Sorry, I was mixed up between egomania and megalomania, though I think you could probably slap them both on there if you wanted to. Because the entire Republican Party followed him along with this. Like, maybe Trump is authentically like a psychopath with an enormous ego, and there's legitimately like a unique case to be made for his brain and how it works. Sure, fine, I believe that. But the entire party fell in line to it. And a lot of the people who fell in line with it, right, these are like, they used to be like neocons. They're not all like Marjorie Taylor Greene. They're not all like the same guy. A lot of these people were deliberately self-serious, fiscal conservative types who initially got elected during the Bush days or before. Like, all of them fell in line. So you can't, like, this cannot be explained by Trump. He's just an inciting incident. That's all you can say.
I have to find that waitress and thank her. She was my consultant, except I didn't pay her $2 million like the other consultants that we all get screwed by. Even worse than the tariffs other countries impose are the non-monetary barriers. That's a non-monetary. These are not financial. These are other things, what they do so that you can't get your product in that country. And China, as you know, is one of the bigger offenders. And it's not all China. Look, I get along with President Xi. I have over the years. But, you know, you just, when COVID came, that was the end. That was it. That was called the bridge too far. But I've always had a good relationship with a very smart guy, loves his country. I love our country. So, you know, we love our country. He loves his. I tell that to other leaders. You got to fight for your country. It's you're not going to fight for us. But we can't fight for you. We're fighting for other countries. We're trying to make them great without making us great. But those days are over. They steal our intellectual property. They rob our trade secrets. They manipulate their currency to levels that have never been seen before. Today it was announced that China is reducing its currency. Did you see that? Big, big. In other words, they're going to make up for it. They got every trick in the book. I'll tell you, they are great. You got to hand it to them. You got to hand it to them. They're manipulating their currency today as an offset against the tariffs. Not supposed to do that. The game isn't supposed to be played that way. It makes it very hard for us. But in the end, it's not good because they have to buy oil. See, we don't need oil. We don't need oil and gas. We have more than any other country. They have to buy it. That's where it hurts them when they do that. It costs them twice as much. And they ship there.
Do we really have to listen to this? Literally everyone is suffering. You are going to be like turning over rocks in your backyard to find bugs to eat to not starve to death in the coming years. Honestly, I'm basically like I'm tolerance building for suffering right now for all of us. Okay, we're doing the like suffering equivalent of shooting yourself with small caliber ammunition so you develop an immunity and then you can charge the police station like immune. You know, we're trying to get our feet planted.
Products through every one of our trading partners running up our deficits with these countries. They sell a lot. You know, when you put a tariff on them, they sell it like with steel. They were dumping tremendous amounts of steel into our country during my term. I saved every steel mill. We only have steel mills because of what I did. I put a high tariff on them, 25 and then 50%, and it stopped. It stopped. They were dumping so much steel, we would have lost every single steel mill. The people that like me best are the people in the steel business, but I think the auto business is going to be right there. I think chips are going to be there. I think pharmaceuticals are going to be there because, you know, we don't make our own pharmaceuticals, drugs, and other things to get better. They're made in other countries, and you pay a number. I mean, the same package in our country compared to like London and other places is sometimes 10 times more. 10 times more. Something that sells for $88 in London sells for $1,300 here, made in the same factory by the same company.
I think this is just the opposite of true. Americans are really reliable and wealthy consumers, so generally we get the low end of prices for basically everything. Like, have you ever talked to an Australian or a Canadian or a British person about what they have to pay for commodities that we pay for? Because for the most part, like, we get it cheap. Why would I ever do that? That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Their drugs are way cheaper. Yeah, but that's not because the other country, the exporter, is being extortionist. That's because people like Trump control our healthcare system. That has nothing to do with what he's talking about. The reason drugs are expensive in our country, he literally struck down Biden executive orders allowing Medicare to negotiate the price of some drugs for seniors. Like the reason drugs are expensive here is because he wants them expensive.
And that's over. I told them all that's over. They put all of their research and development money. They put everything. But what they don't tell you is that these other countries are smart. They say you can't charge more than $88, otherwise you can't sell your product. And the drug companies listen to them. But we're going to do something that we have to do. We're going to tariff our pharmaceuticals, and once we do that, they're going to come rushing back into our country because we're the big market. The advantage we have over everybody is that we're the big market. So we're going to be announcing very shortly a major tariff on pharmaceuticals, and when they hear that, they will leave China, they will leave other places because they have to sell. Most of their product is sold here. And they're going to be opening up their plants all over the place in our country. We're going to be announcing that. So that's breaking news. Ladies and gentlemen, we have breaking news.
What?
That's what's going to happen.
Oh.
What other presidents allow China to get away with is absolutely criminal, but I'm not like the other presidents, and it's not going to happen under President Trump. It's just not going to happen. After all of the abuses they've perpetrated, China's attempting to impose additional unjustified tariffs. Just so you understand, they all got rich because of tariffs. You know, now when we do it, oh, it's so terrible what Trump is doing. It's so terrible. They got rich. And not only China, many countries. I mean, you look at Vietnam, you look at so many, I could name 50 right now. Biden couldn't do that. He couldn't name any. Name one country. Name any country. What's the name of our country? He doesn't know. That's why additional tariffs on Chinese goods are in place effective midnight tonight at 104%.
Yep.
Until they make a deal with us, that's what it's going to be. I think they'll make a deal at some point. China will. They want to make a deal. They really do. They want to make a deal. They just don't know how to get it started because they're proud people. China will now pay a big number to our Treasury. This is
we're all going to die, man. It's bad.
all taxes, and don't let them keep telling you that this is a tax on our people. I hate that. You know, they say it's a tax. No, often much of it is paid. And hey, look what happened during my first term. We had no inflation, and yet I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs and taxes from China. No other president got 10 cents in tariffs or taxes from China. I got hundreds of billions of dollars. Hundreds of billions of dollars. And I still got along with them because they understood what they were doing was wrong. They understood it. It's when you explain it, they sit up, they say, I've had numerous leaders tell me, you're right, sir, I was waiting for you to bring this up. Because some of the trade deals that were made by predecessors as president were so bad, you almost wonder who did these deals. They were either crooked or stupid. There can be nothing else. They were either stupid or crooked. It's terrible, but it's all being changed. I changed a lot of it in the first 4 years, but it's all being changed. You know, in the first 4 years, we had the most successful country in history in terms of economics. We had an 88% increase in the stock markets. We had an 88% increase.
What am I
There's never
supposed
been
to say
any
to this shit?
president that had an 88% increase. We had 88%.
He really likes that number.
There are a lot of happy people, and I think we're going to do much better than that this time, because this time I'm doing what I want to do with respect to the tariffs. I think we're going to do much better. And just remember the numbers. When you get up to $2 billion a day, $2 billion a day, they're saying, sir, can't be that, can it? I said, yeah, it can. It's the biggest transaction ever made. This is bigger than any deal you guys.
This is just the endless weave. I can't listen to this, dude. It's mind-numbing. It's just crazy to me that you can have Mad King syndrome. Like, you could have essentially the same features of that arrangement, but in a democracy. Like, it's not, he can't, all the people going along with this, but it's not like, you know, he's not Joffrey. He's not going to behead you for criticizing him. It's like, it's just crazy, because I bet you if you went back in time and you found some, like, you know, the court of some water-brained king, where they all know that he'll die of some cause or another eventually, and in the meantime they're just weathering it out. If you could go up to them and say, hey, listen, in the future there will be a system where, like, all the peasantry are going to get to choose their leader, and they're still going to choose this guy. Like, it's complicated, and I can't explain how it's going to work to you, but basically, like, they're going to, like, get a consensus on this, and people are still going to go for this, like, of their own volition. I don't think they believe you. Yeah, they might like punch their own tickets early on account of that one. That would be like very difficult news. And then you'd have to say like you will too. Like the court will also want this. They'll also back it. They'll choose the Mad King. I think you underestimate how incapable the average inbred European king was probably. No, I would say that what Trump is doing right now is about on par with it. Like 104% tariff on China, you might as well be sending all the peasantry to go out and like kill sparrows or something. You might as well be like arguing with ghosts or declaring that your like personal guard all behead each other on the, you know, in the palace gardens to determine which of them is like, you know, most loyal or whatever. You like there's no, it's the damage that is going to be done by this exceeds any
Some of you work for companies. Your companies are peanuts. I don't care how big they are. Compared, this is the largest transaction in the history of our country. And don't let some of these politicians go around saying, you know, because I'm telling you, these countries are calling us up, kissing my ass. They are dying to make a deal. Please, please, sir, make a deal. I'll do anything. I'll do anything, sir. And then I'll see some rebel Republican, you know, some guy that wants to grandstand, say, I think that Congress should take over negotiations. Let me tell you, you don't negotiate like I negotiate. Congress takes over negotiating. Sell America fast because you're going to go busted. You don't. I just saw it today. A couple of your congressmen said, I think we should get involved in the negotiation of the tariffs. Oh, that's what I need. I need some guy telling me how to negotiate. I tell you, the happiest people in the world would be China. They wouldn't be paying 104%. I tell you, they'd be paying no percent. We'd be paying them 104%. That's the beauty. Is these guys, we got to be careful. And even the concept of it hurts your negotiation. When they see a little story like that, the other side, you know, it hurts your negotiation. And then the fake news wants to build it up, and it has no chance anyway. But we have to remain united. As I defend workers from unfair trade, House Republicans have a chance this week to bring trillions and trillions of dollars pouring back into America by pushing forward with the largest tax cuts in American history, which is what you're working on right now. The largest in American history. And you know, the reason we had, because we had a great first term and amazing first term, but I saw that the other day that we had the most successful, I mean, I knew it anyway, but I saw that we had 88% increase. That's a tremendous increase.
Man.
Think of that. And that's
okay. I don't think that Trump is dog whistling because I don't really think he's capable of it. Also, he doesn't give a shit about Nazi dog whistles. He's him. He's not like ideologically a Nazi or whatever. That being said, what the okay, my thinking on this is probably he's surrounded by Nazis and they keep 88 posting. Like, Trump will be like, how big did the economy get today? And one of them will be like, it went up 88%. And he'll hear that and you go, oh, okay. And then he'll go back to playing like Candy Crush on his phone or something. They've probably done that to him like over and over and over again. Yeah, Stephen Miller whispering in his ear like worm tongue. I think I've convinced myself of this. I now unironically think that's why he keeps saying 88 over and over. He's pretty easy to manipulate, right? Like he's very, you know, plastic.
All of the difficulties and all of the fake investigations and the Adam Shifty Shifts. Can you believe this guy? He's got the smallest neck I've ever seen. And the biggest head. We call him watermelon head. I'd say, how could that big fat face stand on a neck that looked like this finger? How can it? It was the weirdest thing. It's a mystery.
Tim Walz can call me when he adopts this level of energy for the opposition, okay? It is so f***ed up that Trump is giving speeches like this and the Democrats are still opposing him by saying stuff like, we need to say no to Trump's tax hike on American citizens, as opposed to like calling him a ugly fat pedophile.
Nobody can understand it. But he's one of the most dishonest human beings I've ever seen. And, you know, how we can allow people like that to run in office is a shame, but we did. He was in charge of the witch hunt, you know. He was in charge of the fake witch hunt with Russia. It was a made-up story. Made up. Think of it. They make up a story.
Are you seriously smiling through all this? Because I just have like superhuman will, as evidenced by the fact that I'm just silently watching it and like massaging my aching head. Donate more money to complain about it to me.
Know it's made up. It's gone on for a year and a half, 2 years. Russia, Russia, Russia. I knew nothing about it. The only thing I knew was that I taxed the pipeline that I told you about, that I put all sorts of sanctions and everything else. They never had a problem like they had with me. But it was Russia, 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 constant, as a method of, what they did is that was the complaint about why she lost an election, because crooked Hillary was expected to win the election. But they didn't see what we saw. We saw the biggest crowds in history gathering, only superseded by the crowds we just had. But here's a guy that goes out, and he goes to an intelligence hearing or whatever you might call it, and it's supposed to be secret. He'd walk out. He'd either make a call off the record, just...
What's wrong with his hands? That's what his skin looks like. All of this is paint. This is what his skin tone is. You can see it around his temples. He paints himself this way, and it's insane, and we've all just, like, gotten used to it.
Crooked Adam, shifty Schiff. He's a shifty Adam. Or he'd just go out blatantly and have a news conference. And because it had to do with me and my family...
Hey, I gotta piss. You have a good time with
a news conference,
Trump. Just give me a second.
And he said... Now, you've got to remember, he knows it's a hoax because he made it up with crooked Hillary. So he knows it's a hoax because we're dealing with human beings on the other side. He'd say, Donald Trump Jr., the son of the President of the United States, will spend many years in prison because of what he's done with Russia. Now, think of that statement on a human basis. I have a son, a young son, who is being told that he's going for prison on something he doesn't even know what they're talking about. He said, Dad, I don't know what's going on. They keep talking about I'm involved with Russia. I don't know anything about Russia, I swear to you, Dad. And yet, Adam Schiff goes out and makes a statement about a hoax that he made up, that he knows is false. How bad a human being do you have to be? They put my son and my family through that kind of trauma. These are bad people. These are sick degenerates. And I used to be much nicer to them. I gave them the benefit.
Who's degenerates? Is he talking about you guys?
Son and my family through that kind of trauma. These are bad people. These are sick degenerates. And I used to be much nicer to them. I gave them the benefit of the doubt, but I've just seen too much. They make up a story about Russia. It was a hoax. And eventually, now they've all admitted it was a hoax. On to the next one. It's Russia, Russia, Russia. But they know it's a hoax. And they say about a young man that he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison because of what he's done with Russia. He knows it's a hoax. How bad do you have to be to have that happen to your son? And, you know, it has a bad effect on a family, a bad effect. You know, you okay, Don? I am, Dad, but I don't understand. They keep tying me to Russia. I don't know anything about Russia. He didn't know a damn thing about Russia. It's a disgraceful situation. That's why we got to kick their asses in the midterms, and we got to kick their asses again in 4 years. If we slash taxes on American workers and producers, our economy will soar, jobs will surge, manufacturing will boom, and our country will prosper like never, ever before. We got to get this big, beautiful deal done. We got to get it done, and get it done now. Don't wait 2 weeks. Don't wait 2 weeks. See, bad things happen. Crazy things happen in politics. Just get the damn thing done.
That's quite telling, isn't it? Don't wait 2 weeks. Get it done immediately. And what could happen in the next 2 weeks that you think would make it more difficult to pass your economic agenda? Out of curiosity, you know. The reason he's being insistent on this, by the way, is that he's been having trouble getting this through as quickly as he wants. Trump fails to sway many House GOP holdouts as his big bill of tax breaks and spending cuts stalls. He summoned House Republicans from the Freedom Caucus to the White House for what was described as a contentious midday meeting. Despite Trump's push, some of the Republicans told the president they could not support the Senate package without a commitment to steeper cuts. Essentially now keep in mind, these are the most evil men alive. What they're saying is, we'll keep the massive tax cuts on the wealthy. We need to get rid of like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. Like we need to eliminate all of these programs, basically. I'm tired of the fake math in the swamp, said Rep. Chip Roy, Texas, a Freedom Caucus leader, before heading back. After meeting with Trump, Roy was among those unmoved. I'm still a no. I don't know if he's going to be able to get it out as quickly as he wants to. Oh, and then there's the fact that Trump is saying he's planning on giving the Pentagon $1 trillion budget.
And stop showboating. A couple of people want to, sure, we got to get a little bit more. A little bit more, you know what you're going to get? You end up getting nothing. You end up getting a Democrat bill or worse. In the past 11 weeks, we've already created 350,000 jobs. It's unprecedented, including 10,000 manufacturing jobs that we haven't even started yet. Gas prices, you know, when I came in, they said he campaigned on prices coming down and prices going up. They're not going up, they're going down.
Oh.
Gas prices are way down.
Those who know.
In fact, they had something $2.50 a gallon. I saw on television a little while ago in between watching my great friends on C-SPAN. I saw that the prices are down to $2.50, $2.60, $2.75. When I came in office, it was $3.50, $3.75. But prices are coming down. Prices on groceries are coming down. Prices of eggs are down like 87%. 87, you know, they got me with that. I told you. Before I even got in office, they were telling me about it. They're down close to 87%. And core inflation has dropped to the lowest levels in 4 years. And as I said, we had no inflation in 4 years, despite the fact that I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, so we hadn't even started yet. Nearly $6 trillion of new investment, and that number is now revised up to about 7. Apple, great company, is spending $500 billion because of tariffs. $500 billion, not 500 million, that's a lot. 500 million, you know, when I first heard the number, I said, you mean 500 million? You can build a lot of plants for... No, sir, 500 billion. 500 billion? TSMC, the biggest, most powerful chip maker in the world. This is without that stupid CHIP Act, where they say, here's billions of dollars to a company that doesn't need it. These chip companies are loaded. They give these companies billions of dollars to build a plant in the United States. They don't build them in the United States. They keep the money. It looks good. They give them billions. No. TSMC, I gave them no money. Great company. Most powerful in the world. Biggest chip company in the world. They're spending $200 billion in Arizona building one of the biggest plants in the world. And that's without money. All I did is say, if you don't build your plant here, you're going to pay a big tax. 25, maybe 50, maybe 75, maybe 100%. NVIDIA is investing hundreds of billions of dollars. Johnson & Johnson is investing $55 billion. Eli Lilly is investing $27 billion. DeMac is investing $20 billion. We have billions and billions being invested by Merck, Clarios, Stellantis, General Motors, Honda, Nissan, Hyundai. All are putting in billions and billions and billions of dollars. They're buying sites all over. They're building because they don't want to have to pay 25 and 50% tariffs. They're all doing it. And I think they also have confidence in the country. They have a president that they have confidence in. I know many of them. With the help of people in this room, we are one big, beautiful bill signing away from the greatest economy in the history of the world. And it's an overhang. You know, this bill's an overhang because if it doesn't get signed, we will have imposed the biggest tax on the people of this country in our country's history by 40%. Biggest tax.
So tariffs aren't a tax hike and prices aren't going to go up, but also if we don't get this tax bill passed, we're gonna, oh man. You know what's really frustrating? It's that there's no consequence to slipping up. Like, the lying is really obvious, but there's no such thing as a gaffe anymore. There's no gaffe anymore. There's no point. There's nothing they can say where people are like, whoa, or whatever. Like it's totally meaningless. It's like, whoa, did he just admit he was lying and that the tariffs actually are a significant tax on the American people? Well, yeah, obviously he was lying. Of course he was lying. You can't shame the shameless? Yeah. Just kind of thinking about how civilization's ending a little bit.
Because
Only America? Sorry, we're bringing you guys down with us at least a little bit. There's not really like an only America when it comes to global trade. Somebody said that the 2-week thing is because that's when the tax cuts end. Oh, is that what he was referring to? The end to the previously scheduled tax cuts? Well, those aren't 40%, but okay. I get it doesn't really, I mean, my point stands with regards to gaffes not being a real thing because they happen and it doesn't matter. But okay. That's what he's referring to there.
we gave you the biggest tax cut in history. Now we're giving you another, which is one of the reasons that there are many reasons why we were so successful. But that's one of the big ones. The other one is that 1 year deduction, all in 1 year deduction, so big, and I know they're working on that, the big deduction. It makes people invest. But now we're working on something that's going to, I think, blow it away. This bill is unbelievable. It's going to bring a lot of money back into our country. But if we don't do it, it's going to be a disaster. And you just better hope that people believe that it was the Democrats' fault because, you know, they're very good at saying it was our fault. It'll be the biggest tax increase in history. And all my life as I watched politicians, I wasn't a politician, but I watched them and I contributed to them a lot, contributed a lot of money over the years, but I watched it. But all my life I'd hear politicians saying, we are going to give you a tax cut. I will.
The problem is the MAGA crowd has bought the grift so much they don't want the shame of realizing they're a mark. Yeah, well, I really do think that a lot of them think it's like an economy of sharks and they're the shark and they don't realize they're the minnow or whatever. Is a minnow a fish or a bird? I think it's a fish. And that's like all of them. Like all of them, the ones whose job it is to repeat the propaganda, I mean, and all the ones who go online and lie. They know they're lying. They 100% know they're lying. But they all think they're doing it to like outsmart the little guy. They all think they're coming out on top in this interaction. They're all embarrassed future millionaires. Dude, crypto and sports gambling made that phenomenon so much worse because the temporarily embarrassed millionaire used to refer to a guy who thought that if you worked really hard at your job and saved well and were frugal, you could like get promoted and eventually be like a big boss man. And nowadays it's, well, if you buy in on the right crypto coin or like leverage your assets to do a short sell when the meme man on the YouTube tells you to do the short sell and instantly your net worth gets multiplied 400 times because you got lucky, ignore all the people who failed. Like now and the f***ed up thing is they're right. If you're lucky, anyone can become a millionaire. It's gambling, right? And unlike a casino where your ass is not walking out of a casino with $1 million, you can get insanely wealthy off of day trading. Odds are you won't. Odds are you'll go bankrupt trying, but you could. So now the temporarily embarrassed millionaire phenomenon is being backed up by a model of economic growth that allows for people to delude themselves into thinking that the conditions are being created for them to be the ones to ascend. And then when they don't and they fail and they fall, they're too ashamed to admit that, so they just pretend to be a shark swimming in chum-filled waters when in reality they're like a neat. And then when the evidence becomes overwhelming that none of this is for their benefit, they pretend that the entire time they were okay with being losers and that Trump's presidency is losers' revenge against the people who have succeeded. You know? No, really, because then the final stage is when they're like, well, I never thought any of this was going to make anyone happy or do anything good for anyone. I'm like a basement-dwelling neat, and this is my revenge against you guys. They're all doing like the political equivalent of a school shooting, you know, where it's just like vindictive, it's all the Stacys who do well in college, even though I can't, you know, that's like the final stage of it. Enjoy being terrible people. Yeah, well, the problem is like they don't, but they're still making it your problem. Like they're miserable, but that doesn't stop them from doing the thing, right? It basically is like a political version of a school shooting, you know? And I don't derive that much joy from like, you know, after the Parkland shooting happens or whatever, I'm like, well, at least the shooter is miserable. Yeah, he's miserable. The Parkland shooter survived, right? I'm sure they beat his ass in prison every day. But that doesn't, like, fix anything.
We'll cut your taxes. We will cut your I never heard. They're the only party that says we are going to increase your taxes. Vote for me. Who the
Is
hell
Mike
heard this?
Sedgwick?
Of hundreds of billions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse in the bill. We've already found hundreds of billions of dollars through Doge. And Elon has been terrific. He's been really terrific. But we've found hundreds of billions of dollars of waste, fraud, and abuse. But now we need to get the budget resolution, and we have to get it passed in the Senate. We have to bring it through the House. It's going to pass in both. One thing I'll say is that Thune has been great. John Thune has been great. And he's worked with your great leader hand in hand. Those two bills are coming up together, and they're very similar. And I didn't know if that would happen because you have a lot of different rules, procedures, complicated stuff. But Mike has been amazing, and John Thune, and they've worked like amazingly well because they've just been going on at the same time. And we're ready to get this thing done and beyond and get rid of the debt hangover ceiling that's a disaster for our country and for everybody, and to give people the biggest tax cuts they've ever had, because we're going to add them both up together. It'll be the biggest tax cuts. It'll blow away the tax cuts that we got them 4 years ago. If we follow through on this agenda, we will be rewarded with a phenomenal economy and a massive victory at the ballot box in 2026, because we will have a record of triumph like no president has ever had, like no Congress has ever had. They will not be able to even touch your seat. Your seat is secure, and we'll pick up 40, 50, or even 60 seats, and we'll have something that's going to be smooth sailing for years to come. If we don't get it done because of stupidity or a couple of people that want to show how great they are, you just have to laugh at them or smile at them or cry right in their face. In less than 3 months, our new administration has already accomplished more than most administrations achieve in 4 years or 8 years. And everybody says,
hold on 1 second. I missed this bit from earlier today.
In the first campaign where Hillary Clinton was about 4 states too early, and she was talking about how bad coal was and how they were going to teach coal miners how to make widgets and gadgets and technology, which they didn't want to do. They want to mine. One thing I learned about the coal miners, that's what they want to do. You could give them a penthouse on Fifth Avenue and a different kind of a job, and they'd be unhappy. They want to mine coal. That's what they love to do. And she was going to put them in.
Fuck, that's funny. Unironically, this is like the average West Virginian coal worker, though, judging by their voting record. Like the not even like coal worker, just like the average West Virginian voter. There's like 5 coal jobs left in West Virginia, and the entire state will sway towards any politician who promises to bring more over, even though they all suck. They do actually yearn for the mines. It's true.
A high-tech industry where you make little cell phones and things. I don't know. Do you think he'd be good at that? I don't know. You don't want to be. And she was brutal about 3 weeks before, but then she had a problem. She went to West Virginia looking for votes, and that was a bad situation.
I lived in West Virginia for 4 years, went to Marshall University. The phrase "Friends of Coal" was plastered everywhere at the Marshall football stadium. It's just funny because, like, there's not actually that many coal jobs. It's like how in Pennsylvania, everyone's talking about fracking jobs this, fracking jobs that. Dude, it's like 10,000 jobs. The state is millions of people. And like, most adults work. It's so stupid. Why do we keep, like, bending over backwards to pander to these tiny, tiny worker demographics? Like people who work in the auto industry.
Says it. And we have to have this stuff documented and approved. In a matter of weeks, we've achieved the lowest level.
They pay better than gig jobs, TBH? Well, everything does. But also, if we're going to do that, then why not just do that with anything? If we're going to engage in that kind of magical thinking. We want more CEO jobs. I don't know, why not? Like, if there's, like, no coal jobs, there's no fracking jobs. There aren't that many. It is a fossil fuel industry psyop to convince people that these things are more essential to the economy and the workers than they actually are. In reality, the people who care about coal and oil and fracking are the CEOs and the shareholders of those industries. It's not like a massive bedrock for workers. Like, say, for example, the service industry. But who's out there protecting the service industry workers? Fucking no one. Why don't we do that? Where's that solidarity? Nobody goes to an area and they're like, well, hey, to all the waiters and waitresses, you know, there's way the more of them than there are fracking workers, and they need the help more.
Of illegal border crossings in American history. In history, they have a plaza in front in Tijuana, Mexico. I wouldn't advise going there on a trip, but nevertheless, they have a plaza, big plaza, held hundreds of thousands of people. Yesterday morning, there were none. There was a man sweeping this massive plate of concrete, massive. And he was sweeping the concrete, and there was nobody there. During the same period last year, Joe Biden released more than 184,000 illegal aliens into our country. Think of it. Many of these people were from jails.
I live in Pennsylvania. Our Dem governor keeps gaslighting the population that fracking is literally millions of jobs because it gives the state billions in income. Yeah, this is what I mean when I say, like, the experiment is kind of over. It's like every little thing like that was a little compromise towards falsehood that paved the path to this. Dem and Republican. Like every time a politician did that, every time a corporation was allowed to do that, we moved closer and closer to this, which feels like more or less the end point, right? Maybe we're getting there. Maybe this administration goes further, but ideologically, we're already about as committed to anti-empiricism as is possible. I don't think that there's much ideologically different between this administration and, say, the Nazis, right? Like, it's mostly just a matter of circumstantial convenience. All the logic that they're using right now about how, I mean, we're going to look at it after this video, but Pam Bondi is literally saying, like, yes, we will actually use the gulag that's been built in El Salvador to deport American citizens or whatever. Like, it's not like all the steps on the staircase have been built. It's just a matter of walking up it at this point.
Mental institutions, as I said, since my inauguration, we've released a grand total of nine. And they were
See, look at that. We're already just like the Nazis. Did you advocate for moving towards this before the election? What do you mean? Towards fascism? Not typically, no. I'm pretty against that sort of thing, I think.
In all cases, medical emergencies. We did that for medical emergency reasons. Last month, we officially designated Tren de Aragua, MS-13, and the Mexican drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. And thanks to the Supreme Court yesterday, and today we had a big ruling, too. We had a very big ruling today. But we will continue to deport these monsters under the Alien Enemies Act. Think of that, Alien Enemies Act. Can you believe it? All things we wouldn't have had to do if the election weren't rigged. Now, in reconciliation, we need Republicans in Congress to give us the full funding to permanently secure the border and to carry out. That's part of what we're asking for. Who could fight that? We want to permanently secure. Without a border or without fair elections and without a good press, you don't have a country. Well, we have a lousy press. We now have a good border. And we're going to get good elections pretty soon. There's a lot of clamor for it. I think it's something that you should work on. You should go out and put a bill in demanding. You demand, because the states are just an agent of the federal government, of you. You're to demand paper ballots. You're to demand one-day elections. You know what they do when it's longer than one day? All of a sudden, well, we're fixing the room up. Move those boxes. We're putting an air conditioner. Oh, really?
Didn't we already do this
We'll
bit?
move the boxes back in a few days. Well, we're painting the room. Please move the boxes. And you notice the boxes go out, and then they move back in about half the number. Oh, it's so sick. One-day election. You don't need any more than that. One-day election, paper ballots. It's. I think you should put a bill in. I mean, I don't know. Who's in favor of a bill? Who could not want it? Who could not want it? But I think you should do a bill in that. I think it would be so popular. And more importantly than popular, it's so necessary. You have to have great elections. You have to have fair and free elections. And you've got to have borders. Otherwise, you don't have a country. To quickly bring down the cost of energy and lower the price of everything, on day one, I declared a national energy emergency to drill, baby, drill. We're drilling. Oh, we're drilling. I withdrew from the unbelievably expensive for us, the Paris Climate Accord. So we were paying, it would have cost us $1 trillion, $1 trillion. China doesn't come into it till like 2035. Russia's based on a 1992 standard when the air was dirty. India was based on a very low standard. Except the United States, we had to pay immediately.
He's got so much spit.
We would have spent trillions of dollars on that scam. And it sounds so nice. The Paris Climate Accord, what a beautiful name. Isn't it beautiful? It was a ripoff of the United States. Well, don't forget, I'm negotiating with these people, but if you really look, the European Union, why was that set up? It was set up to screw the United States of America. They formed a group of countries, got together, and let's make life miserable for the United States of America on trade and other things, and they have done that.
All the time.
They've
it's
treated
all
us
they
very badly.
talk
We don't sell
about.
cars into the European Union. They won't take our agriculture. They want their own, but we take their agriculture, we take their cars by the millions. I terminated the Green New scam, one of the great scams, one of the great hoaxes in the history of our country, only superseded by Russia hoax. I canceled Joe Biden's insane electric vehicle mandate where everybody had to have an electric vehicle in a very short period of time. Everybody was forced to have an electric vehicle.
The crazy thing is that was meant to be like a bailout to American car companies. A mandate for like overtime electric vehicle purchases, or like a push to have them filled up there, would have been a push to like get people to buy American cars, new ones, That was the incentive. It was meant to be a gift to Tesla in large part.
They built some power stations in the Midwest. They look like gas pumps with electricity, right? They spent $8 billion, and 4 of the 9 of them don't work. 4 of 9, they built 9 or 8, but half of them don't work. They spent $8 billion bringing the cables, bringing the wires. What a great investment that was. Billions of dollars they spent. Now people can go out and buy a gasoline-powered car or hybrid. They can buy whatever they want. We don't want hydrogen because they have some big problems. They blow up, and you never see who was driving the car. You're not recognizable. That's a big problem.
What?
They were telling me about, sir, I'm really liking hydrogen cars. I said, but isn't there a problem? Yes, they tend to blow up on occasion. I said, how bad is it? Well, we found body parts 250 yards away from the car. We think it was Mr. Jones, but we're going to go to see his dentist and see if we can.
What the fuck?
So if you have one of those incidents.
Did somebody like tell him a story and he thought it was real? What is he talking about?
Let's forget it, right? It's a bomb. It's a bomb. I don't want him to work. I actually said, don't work on it. Between that and windmills, you can have windmills too. Most expensive form of energy ever. Anybody have a windmill by your house? Congratulations, you'll never sell your house. And today I signed historic executive orders to unleash coal production to the highest levels ever. Because, coal is the most powerful thing. We have more of it than any. We have more liquid gold under our feet, oil and gas, and we have more coal than any other country. No other country has as much as we have. All different forms of coal. And take a look at China. They're building 2 coal plants a week. Think of that, 2 a week. We are screwing around with wind. Oh, wind. These people are crazy. They say, oh, it's great for the environment. Yeah, it kills all your birds.
I've heard about this.
You want to see a bird cemetery? Walk under a windmill sometime. Got birds all over the place. They're screaming for help. They got whacked. The environmentalists, it's an environmental dream. You know why? Because you're never going to have energy. They're the most expensive form of energy there is. 10 times more expensive than clean natural gas, 10 times much more expensive than coal, and not very unreliable. Like if they wanted to watch us tonight on television, Alice, I want to watch the president tonight. I'm sorry, darling, but the windmills aren't blowing. We're going to give them confidence to do what they have to do long into the future, because coal is going to be a big factor in our country now. You know, it does give us our electricity, because there's nothing like coal in terms of power, but it's going to be clean, beautiful
I'm
coal.
dead
like
on my
bill.
ass right now, man.
It's going to be clean and beautiful. Coal
seeing it
miners,
through
and by the way,
inertia.
they've made tremendous progress with also coal in terms of clean coal. But the coal miners standing alongside of me this afternoon in the White House, they were incredible. They were a beautiful sight to behold. These are really great American patriots, beautiful guys. I didn't want to have any arm wrestling contests with any of them, I can tell you that. They're good, strong guys. That's what they want to do. They love to dig coal. That's what they want to do. They don't want to do gadgets and widgets and wadgets. They don't want to build cell phones with their
got me
hands,
back.
and big, strong hands, and doing a little thing. Remember when Hillary Clinton went to West Virginia? And she had decimated them 3 weeks before in, like, some state where they make little tiny circuit boards. And she said, we're going to teach the miners in West Virginia how to make a circuit board with little tiny things. He said, we're going to teach them. And then she went to West Virginia. She was in the campaign. And she had to go there. Do you remember that stop? It was memorable. It was one of the worst. Did they go after her? And one of the miners said, I don't want to do anything else but dig coal. I want to dig coal. They said it today.
How is that bad? Well, apart from the fact that it's impossible, it's kind of like the cope that neoliberals push as a response to globalization. No one is going to go from working in coal to doing like coding or computer shit or whatever. The reason for that is because most of the guys doing coal are big and strong and stupid. Like, let's not play about here. Not all of them, but most. It's like construction workers. Well, when construction settles down, they can all do coding. No, they can't. They don't have the brains for it. That's a different field entirely. And what they could do is service work, like most people in this economy. But the problem is, coal miners make more than service workers, which they shouldn't, because working the morning rush as a barista at Starbucks is more difficult than any coal mining job. In reality, like, if you said something like, well, they can transition into service work, that would be seen as well, they should accept a smaller paycheck that you can't live off of. Well, what if you made those paychecks more substantial, right? Well, what if we stopped around and treated service work the way it should be treated, you know? But they don't want to talk about that. Basically, they're like, go from this somewhat high-paying job to this other somewhat high-paying job, rather than like, well, what if you just became a part of the regular workforce, but it was elevated, so we stopped treating it as a punishment or like a intermediate job for young people or people who working, getting a college degree. What if people got paid well? Is there anything that excites you about the future of politics? Well, I feel like it'll be interesting. Maybe. I don't know. I'm kind of interested in seeing what America looks like after this. Well, I'm interested in seeing what America looks like after this if something is done about this. Not just Trump, but like the state of affairs, If we get another cut off Reconstruction or whatever, like Democrats win on a common sense strategy. Gavin Newsom runs a moderate Democrat, and he's like, listen, okay, obviously Democrats overstepped with the transgenders in women's sports. We're going to bring it back. We're going to be sensible. We're going to build like a bipartisan homelessness death camp or something. If that's the way we recover from this, then nothing will ever be interesting again. All human existence we will just be here to suffer, essentially. We won't believe in progress as a concept. Progressivism as an ideology will die. There will be nothing, just suffering. But there is a possibility we rebound from this in a way that we can't even understand. Oh yeah, we're probably going to invade Iran soon. So that'll be interesting. I'm still within the draft range, so you guys might get to see like grainy drone footage of me taking a 762 to the head in the like wastelands outside Kabul or whatever. No, not Kabul, Tehran. Sorry. Kabul's in Afghanistan? Yeah, that's why I said not Kabul, Tehran, before anyone even corrected me. Because I'm such a smart guy. Too bad we all have bone spurs. I could probably come up with a disability. I could shoot myself in the leg.
Hey, that's what they love. They love doing it. It's like that in a lot of industries. People love doing what they're doing. They want to dig coal. That's what they want. They don't mind going deep in earth. They feel comfortable. They're me. I could do without it. But they feel comfortable. They're incredible people, actually, hardworking, incredible people. And we're giving them their lives back. We've also begun the largest deregulation campaign in history. For every one new regulation, I have directed that 10 old regulations must be eliminated before the first one can go into effect. And we're working tirelessly to restore peace through strength.
Voss just sounds genuinely defeated, makes me feel worse. I don't have to hear that, man. I'm not a loci for your mental well-being. I'm a guy with a headache. You go, so the transmitter of my political opinions is exhausted from the objectively exhausting shit that's happening. Now I feel worse. Well, now you're gonna make me feel worse, because now I think you, with your fragile psyche, you're gonna like punch your own ticket, okay? What if my mental is compromised right now from something entirely unrelated to this? What if I sound defeated because I tried to open up like a Chaos Dwarves campaign late last night and I didn't understand the slavery to raw material to warforged equipment ratios, and it fell apart 2 provinces in? You don't know. You don't know me. You don't understand my life. Okay?
Then bring back the hostages held captive abroad. We've brought a lot of them back already, but what a sad situation that is. What a sad situation that is. That would have never happened if I were president. October 7th would have never happened. And I said Russia-Ukraine would have never happened. All this stuff, inflation would have never happened. Afghanistan disaster would have never happened. Most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. Not leaving. I was going to leave. I'm the one that got them to a point where they could leave, but I was going to keep Bagram, the air base, one of the biggest in the world. I was going to keep it, not for Afghanistan, because it's 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. Wouldn't it be nice to have it? You know who occupies it now? China occupies it now. Can you believe how stupid this guy was? On top of that, they get blown up at the airport, leaving the wrong airport. They didn't leave from Bagram. They left from a local little airport, which was crowded and like crazy with the people from the towns and cities. And the bomb went off and decimated hundreds of people, killed hundreds. We lost 13 soldiers. But we also had 42 or 48 horribly injured. Arms, legs, face, horribly injured. All because we had a stupid leader. Should have never happened. Should have never been involved in that. We're also joined tonight by a number of brave souls who were recently released from Hamas captivity. Hamas is just a disaster, the level of hatred. Where are the people? Hamas?
Just describing Hamas
they
is
understand
like...
what that's all about. Where are you? That's great. How does it feel to be out? How does that feel to be out, huh?
Move it along.
You want to come up here
done.
for a second?
Oh,
come on
me.
up here.
Of the life of 33 hostages.
Don't care.
When we heard President
Don't care.
Of the 59, and I've had Pelosi and Weird Al Green. He's a weird dude. Oh, he should have been treated very badly for the way he behaved that night. Think of it, they didn't stand up. They didn't pay respect to anybody, including, think of it, you take a look at Laken Riley, you take a look at any of the people there, the parents of these incredible people, the young boy with cancer, serious cancer, wanted to be in a police department, would give anything to be a policeman someday. They refuse to even applaud or acknowledge them. They're sick. There's something wrong with them. They sat, as the stories were explained, 2 young ladies savagely killed by...
There's definitely been an escalation in his rhetoric, right? Where now he's directly referring to the Democrats broadly as, like, sick and degenerates. I feel like he's always said, like, Antifa, car burners, so on and so forth, illegal immigrants. He's called those people stuff like that, rats, whatever. But the entire opposition party now, yeah, definitely getting around there. And it's always because they weren't, they didn't clap. Literally, like, that's the reason why. It's always like you were not, like, you didn't assuage my ego enough. They didn't say thank you.
Illegal aliens. They came into our country and they killed these 2 young ladies, and the Democrats sat there. They didn't smile. They didn't clap. They didn't do anything. I think you frankly win the midterms. Just all you have to do is show a picture of these grieving parents, uncontrollably grieving, and they didn't get one clap out of the whole group of them. They just sat there like stoic and disgraceful. And you show that in your commercials that you're going to be putting on, and you'll win every race that we have in this room. That was a bad night for them, and now they know it. They're trying to make up for it. But they're just, I don't know, something wrong with them. That's why every day from now until November 2026, we're going to fight to elect and expand the Republican majority of the House and save our country from these radical left lunatics. We will not be deterred. We will not stop. We will not yield, and we will never, ever back down. We're not going to back down. They would lose respect if you back down. They're the ones that back down. They're the ones that have lost their confidence. They're no good anymore. I saw politicians that were good politicians 4 years ago. They're not good politicians anymore. They've lost their confidence. They've totally lost their confidence. But they can get their confidence back, so you can't rely on that too much, I guess. Together, we're liberating our country, reclaiming our wealth, unleashing our energy, protecting our children, rebuilding our military, repelling the invaders, deporting the criminals, destroying the gangs, and unlocking what history will know as the golden age of America. This is going to be the golden age of America. With your support, your commitment, and your help to elect more Republicans, we will finish the job that we have really brilliantly started. It's been a brilliant period of years. And we go back to 2016, it was brilliant. Then they stole it from us by illegally rigging the election. And we did great in that election. But we had to write it off, and we all went through hell. I went through hell in particular. Indictments. What we had to go through was hard to believe. Impeachments, 2 impeachments over nothing, over a phone call that was perfect. They knew it was perfect. And they found out after they realized that the calls were essentially taped by the government because you were talking to a foreign leader. And when that was played back, they didn't know what the hell to do. But they went forward with it anyway because they're sick people. The American dream will come roaring back in our country. Together, we're going to make America greater than it's ever been before. And I just want to thank you and congratulations on your record evening. And I'm with you all the way, and I'm going to be campaigning with you, and we're going to win like we've never won before.
Am I free?
And thank you to your leadership, and Mike, great job. You're doing a fantastic job. Thank you all very much.
Am I free? Can I be free? Yeah, of course. Was that YMCA? Yeah, of course it was. Ward Pipe with the $25. I'm so sorry for telling you the speech was on. I swear to the D&D gods I'll never do it again. Not ever till next time. Game stream soon, please, lol. Well, you know what happens when you ask for stream content on my stream, don't you? You know what happens when you ask for it? Put the money in the wallet. And your job is actually hard. No one will understand. No one understands.